And welcome back, everybody, to I'll Hang Up and Listen. Of course, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room, with over 300 beers to choose from at 7 different Western New York locations. If you need to get a beer, make sure you get over to Fatty Beer. Let them know what we over here at Two Goalies when Mike sent you. Great. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue tied. Great food, live music, vibes, entertainment. They have everything over there. So again, if you get a chance, get there. Again, let them know that we sent you. And of course, how could I forget? Not forget Extreme Discount Mattress, Western New York's premier place to get your mattresses and adjustable beds, all for excuse me. Sorry, let me start there. I'm kind of losing my voice from the game. But shout out again to Extreme Western New York's finest selection for mattress and adjustable beds, featuring the cool gel memory foam, two-sided mattress, Tolo latex, organic mattress, Cheddar Mulls, and of course Scott Living, all for 1/3 to half the supposed sale prices anywhere. Stop in any of their 7 locations across Western New York, or check out their website, extrememattress.com. That is Extreme with an X. If you're looking for more savings, check out their new closeout center at 1625 Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. Up to 80% off their already low prices. Save a fortune on one-of-a-kinds, closeouts, and floor samples. Get a quality mattress for literally pennies on the dollar. Extreme Discount Mattress. We sell mattresses for less, a lot less. And remember, if you mention you're a fan of Two Goalies on Mike, you get yourself a free, I said it, free mattress protector with any purchase of a mattress. So make sure you give it a check out, extrememattress.com. Sabres drop one, get a point. They are able to salvage a point with another late comeback in the third period, scoring like 2 goals in 30 seconds. Led on that one by Zach Benson and Jason Zucker, but cannot get it in the garage. Give up the lead late in the third, and then the eventual overtime goal. I honestly, Hurls, so we were standing at like the exit, me and my girl, and like I didn't really see like the play develop in overtime. I'm sure you obviously did, because I was trying to like get out as quickly as we could to beat traffic, so I wasn't stuck in the ramp for 45 minutes. What was the goal like? Because I'm seeing some stuff in our group chat about the game winner. I didn't have a problem with UPL's game tonight, but I also didn't see the overtime goal, so I thought he played more than good enough to win. Your thoughts?
The overtime winner was definitely his worst of the night, without question. It's not without fault of the defense. I was just looking back at the replay, and all 3 guys are on the left side of the ice as the puck is being broken into the zone. I don't think the team has a really good understanding of spacing for 3-on-3 overtime. They've been bad all year, and they've had some really, really bad defensive breakdowns in 3-on-3 overtime. So I think that factored in. And yeah, it was a 5-hole goal. It was a late pass to a guy wide open on the weak side, and UPL moved over and adjusted. And yeah, he's definitely going to want that one back. But I do believe that the Sabres were largely outplayed tonight. I didn't see all of the first period, but from what I was looking at online, yeah, and I think a lot of people had that feeling that they looked a little slow, looked a little sluggish. The normal stats show that they were outshot, they were out hit, they lost the faceoff battle, and I'm sure the advanced stats show that the Bruins had the advantage in most other areas of the game as well. So yeah, not their best game, and I think Zucker said it after the game. It's nice to get a point when you're not at your best. Obviously, we're past the point of moral victories with this team, and I think we can expect really, really great things on a nightly basis, but this is going to happen some nights. And when they are probably play their worst game since the Olympic break, and they're still able to get hot, retake the lead, and then, still get a point despite probably, even these past 2 games, probably giving up 2 points unnecessarily had they just been a little bit tighter defensively. There's something to be said about that, and I think that they can learn from this lesson going into the playoffs.
100% agree with you. And Lindy even said it in his post game, one of his comments. He said, those first 2 periods are the worst periods of hockey they've played in 3 months. And I agree. It was bad. The tuck turnover that led to a goal, that wasn't great. I thought McLeod probably had his worst game in a very long time. I thought, he he didn't look good on either. I mean, the first one I'm a little foggy on, but I vividly remember on the second goal, like that was his man who scored the goal. Like he was within, it was kind of a lazy back check, kind of a lazy stick check, and eventually, doesn't help UP out. I think on, what was a nice poke check to make the first save, and then just no help. After that, he did his job. He made the first save, but you got to back him up there at some point. I didn't have a problem with the third goal. But again, I had to look at the game winner. It sounds like you guys are saying like it 5-hole.
Yeah, 5-hole's 5-hole, right? Like it doesn't, especially when you're in the NHL. Like I think even the two of us would let in that goal and be upset with ourselves. So I think that he can look at that and learn from it, and the defense can look at it and learn how to stay on their man and not be confused by switching in the neutral zone, which is seems like what happened again. And there was a guy on the flank that immediately got the puck and Pavel Zacha, and he was able to shoot it very quickly. So I think they need to be better at that. But the silver lining is that there is no 3-on-3 overtime in the playoffs. And this team really, really thrives at 5-on-5, and they have for a long time now. So I think that you try to get as many points as you possibly can leading into this. Of course, you want home ice advantage, and they're trending that way still. And hopefully they can learn from a situation like this, because it's been a trend for the entire season, basically. I don't remember off the top of my head them winning a game. I think the only game that they've won in overtime, or maybe there's more, but I remember the Samuelson goal against the Red Wings when they came back in that game. But most of the time they've just survived and getting really big saves to get to the shootout, where they've been, I think, undefeated in the shootout this season. So
I do want to get to a couple things, a couple questions, because I know you got to go fairly soon. Your thoughts on Metsä not playing tonight? We'll start with that, and then we'll transition into, it was said by Paul Hamilton, and I heard this on the radio while I was driving to the game, that Kesselring has lost his locker and he's now getting dressed on a folding chair in the middle of the room. Now, I mean, there are a lot of guys currently in and out of the lineup, so that could be a reason why like his locker was maybe needed for another player. But like if you're Michael Kesselring and everything we've heard about him over the last week, the Instagram stuff, obviously like this has to be the most frustrating year of hockey of his career. Like how can you even debate it? It has to be like to have a locker, to have all this optimism come in and then constantly deal with the injuries. I mean, I kept on seeing it on, after I said that on Twitter, like, is he like in the Lindy Ruff doghouse right now? And last but not least, I agree with this one too. I'll let you hit one by one. There were 2 times. Dan Anderson brings it up here. Why not have Carrick do OT face-off? McLeod and Krebs both lost back-to-back in games. I also said the same thing, not just about OT, but when they pulled UPL at the end of the period with 2 seconds left, they had Krebs out there. Why not have Sam Carrick in that spot, given that the only job in that position is to win the face-off with 2 seconds left?
Yeah, Kesselring, I think that it's common practice for this to happen with players that aren't in the lineup at the moment, and I don't necessarily think it's indicative of a doghouse situation. Lindy spoke about him and spoke about how frustrating of a season he's had with the injuries and coming back a little bit too soon and fighting it, and now they just have so much depth, and he spoke about how important that depth is. So I think it's just a situation of there being so many guys right now. And Timmins slotting in for Metsä, I think that was just to get Timmins back going now that he's healthy. I don't necessarily think that's a permanent thing. I think he did some good things tonight, but I just saw that he was a negative 20% expected goals for percentage tonight, which is not great. There were way more chances against him on the ice than he had for. And I think that Timmins Stanley pairing is a potential nightmare type pairing defensively, at least. Stanley's been good the past few games, but I think we've seen over the course of the season when he was with the Jets, 3 games in Buffalo, I think that that's not his strength. And Timmins can be good, but obviously he's coming back from a lengthy absence. Mets has been very solid. He's been super steady, has been sheltered, but he's increased his workload recently, and he's still been very good. So I expect to see him back on Friday night. And Carrick. Yeah, winning faceoffs is really important. It's not the end all be all, but in high leverage situations, especially in overtime and at the end of the game where you want to get an opportunity on a goal, it's kind of like a lacrosse type situation where they have a specialist that goes in there to take a faceoff and then they run off. I think you can do that in a 3-on-3 overtime because you can hold the puck and wait for things to get going. But you need more than one guy that can win a draw in a high leverage situation, and that's just point blank period for any hockey team. So these guys need to practice it. They need to figure out the timing. They need to study certain linesmen. They need to do whatever they possibly can to be better in more situations than they are right now.
There's 2 points I want to bring up here, and there's so many comments in the chat, guys. I just want to throw it out there now, with the super chat option. Normally, if you guys do choose to do that, the gift super chat, it pops up, it's highlighted. I'll see it. I can bring it up on the screen. If you do want it to be showcased. By no means am I saying the season's over, but they're starting to fall back in old habits. They need to look back on their success and close out games. Also, 3-on-3 overtime is really rough. And then another earlier one was where was it? From Chris. They have a problem. They cannot close out games. They cannot close out games. It's becoming an issue again. Yeah, then this is I'm not agreeing with that solely, but he's not wrong. This is not the time in the season to fall back into those old types of habits. It's not starting off games, ready to play, kind of like they look like tonight. They look sluggish. They look, and again, you could say it's the West Coast trip, even though Darlene was very adamant. A lot of the guys were really adamant after the game that, you can't use that as an excuse. You have to get past it. Somebody in the chat mentioned that Tampa Bay, after their West Coast trip, they came back and beat Minnesota, their first game back home. It's true. But this is not the time of the season to get into those old habits again, because you're getting to not just the most important stretch of the season, trying to maintain the lead in the Atlantic, but you possibly could be Carolina for the number 1 seed in all the Eastern Conference.
And with all of that, they got a point to tie Carolina again for first place in the Eastern Conference. So I don't think it's all horrible. Yeah, it's 2 games in a row, but it's against 2 desperate teams, and that's going to continue to happen. Detroit's going to be desperate on Friday night. Everybody that they play for the rest of the season mostly is going to be fighting for a playoff spot. I don't know if it will be the same thing in a week, but for the most part, these are the types of situations that are going to compare you. And I think they need to get back into that mindset that they were in December and January, where they were that desperate team, where they were fighting to get back into it, where they were fighting to get into a wild card spot. I think there's at least a chance, mentally, even if it's not something that they're saying out loud, subliminally, they might have gotten a little bit too comfortable. And I do think that fatigue is playing a factor. There were, I think, 4 games in 7 days last week with a ton of travel. And even myself, I travel from LA to Buffalo all the time. Not an easy flight, not an easy time change. It takes a couple days for your body to adjust. And even if you say that you can't use it as an excuse, physically your body is not the same as it was when you've gotten a good sleep schedule and you've been in the same time zone for a few days. So I don't think it's a huge thing, and they'll likely be completely fine physically on Friday, but I did expect them to be a little bit sluggish tonight, and they showed it.
Yeah, I agree. It was a breath of fresh air, though. We did see Carolina attending her first games, obviously, since last year, but of course, obviously, with what her and both, her future husband and Rasmus went through over the course of the last 8 months. She got a great ovation. You saw how happy Darlene was to have her in the house. I would say I kind of hope that with having her in the house, and we talked about on this podcast last night, talked about it during the day, kind of figured that the energy would be through the roof for these guys, the whole team, just knowing that what they both went through and for her to get here. But putting that to the side, it was really nice to see her here, home with her husband, her future husband, and hopefully this is the start of something really special for the rest of the way for this team.
Yeah, no, it's a super, super impactful moment, especially for Rasmus and Carolina. I imagine how emotional that all was, and what a relief it is just to enjoy some sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
I've seen it in a couple pictures that she's posted recently. A massive scar on her chest that she got from the heart transplant, and everything that goes in mentally, physically, emotionally, recovering from something like that.
Mhm.
I can't even imagine. I've known some people, friends, family that have dealt with cancer, that have dealt with other diseases and illnesses, and the recovery is almost harder, or getting back to normalcy is almost harder than the initial instance itself. So for her to be there with her family and friends and sit in a box and enjoy the game, and be there for this really seminal moment in Sabres history, I think is going to rally not only Rasmus but the rest of the guys, and
Mhm.
that includes their wives and girlfriends too. She seems to be very close to all of them. They welcomed her home with open arms, and I think it's going to be a really positive thing moving forward for this team.
We talked a lot about last night with Sean McIndoe, about coach of the year candidates. I don't know if you saw on the broadcast, I was at the game, but I'm looking at the graphic now. Did you see the panel on TNT do their coach of the year candidates, top 3 each?
I didn't know.
Biz picked number 1, John Cooper, Dan Muse, and number 3, Rick Bowness. Anson Carter, John Cooper, number 2, Rod Brindamore, number 2 also. He picked 3 twos. Because he couldn't decide. 2 Dan Muse and 2 Joel Quenneville, and then Darren Panger picked John Cooper, Joel Quenneville, and Marco Sturm. The disrespect toward Lindy Ruff it's almost a troll. It has to be a troll, right? That has to be a troll. That has to be done for engagement.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I would say that a lot of these shows, I mean, I know it as well as anybody. They cater talking points to get people upset, and there's people that are hired and making millions of dollars because that's what they do. I think that these are discussions that are had. It's during a Sabres game. They know that Sabres fans are watching. They know that it's a point of discussion. So I would just everybody chill because I personally pay no mind to most of these people. Yes, they have careers in the NHL and they're paid to be analysts, but it doesn't mean they are the end all be all. As Sean told us, it's the broadcasters that make that decision. And I think a lot of the broadcasters, especially in the way that they've spoken about the Sabres this season, know how good a job Lindy has done in turning around this team and getting this locker room to be the brotherhood that they are. This didn't just happen out of nowhere. It took a lot of fostering. It took a lot of maturation. And I think Lindy's a huge part of that. So I do think that pull or whatever they did was most likely on purpose. So everybody just
had to have been because I mean, the Sabres are 2-0-1 versus John Cooper head to head this season. Like, what are we talking about here, man?
Yeah,
they're from worst to first right now. That's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I'm looking what you just posted right now. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I'm not gonna pay it any more than 5 seconds that I just did because I think that
keep doubting us.
It's you don't even need to get mad about it. I think it's just like it's sports talk shows and intermission shows have really diverted into getting as much engagement and as many people as mad as possible. And that's really all you need to know about this exact situation is precisely what they're doing. So it's bait, don't get tricked, and then move on because I don't think this matters. And Lindy is, I think, the betting markets show, I think he's the clear front runner.
Yeah. And I know it could bounce back and forth. We've talked about the Bruins possibly being a team that they could face in the playoffs. Like, I think they tied Ottawa. They're tied with Ottawa, I believe, now in point. Actually, no, they might have jumped to Ottawa for that first wild card spot. So I think wasn't it? We would, if we were to finish leading the Atlantic or leading the East, we would play what, the first wild card team or the second wild card team?
Depends on whoever finishes first in the conference. So the division leader of the Atlantic and the Metropolitan with more points plays the second wild card team. So
okay,
that is why this race is so important and every point matters, just like tonight.
Yeah. I do want to give a couple quick shout outs. Met some fans of the show tonight. Shout out to Joey and Anthony and Noah. Bought them all a beer tonight. They told me how much they love the podcast. They like tuning in to listen to me and you afterwards. Also met some other cool people all on the way. Another Anthony, one guy that I work with. He's a big fan. Drew, Cole, and Alex. Shout out to them. Thank you for subscribing and tuning in. Shout out to all you brothers, Sabres fan hopefuls out there. Even Drew even messaged me after he followed us on all our platforms. He said, "I pumped to watch you guys this season." He's looking for more Sabres content. So if you guys are all watching or you watched last night, a shout out to you guys. I appreciate the support, no doubt. How much time you got left here, Hurls?
I was just going to say I do have to bounce. So
okay.
I appreciate you guys. Good game tonight. And yeah, we'll see you Friday.
Awesome, man. Oh, look, there he is right there. I love it. Let me change my overlay there. There we go. Yeah, so thanks for Hurls for popping in. I know he had a game to get to. So listen, I mean, it wasn't pretty tonight. They stormed back. It was funny. I was actually sitting in the same section. We congratulated the St. Francis Red Raiders on their national championship win the other night. We interviewed a few of their players along with their head coach and owner of Fatty Beer, Nick Fatty, our main sponsor. And ironically enough, my dad was able to get me and my girl tickets for tonight. And we ended up sitting in the same section as them because the Sabres recognized that accomplishment tonight. And sitting there with Nick, just shooting the shit. And he mentioned, this team, I think they've been so successful this year that they know they're so confident themselves that they can just flip that switch at any second. And I'm not kidding you. Nick will even say this. 30 seconds after that is when Benson scored the goal. And then he gets the power play. And then they go ahead and take the lead. It was kind of true. I'm like, I've said it so many times, and I'll say it now. Even when they were down, they looked sluggish and they didn't look great, and they're losing 2-1 going to the third. I never felt that feeling of. I mean, I felt that they were definitely off tonight. Like they weren't playing well for those first two periods. And then honestly, they were lucky to get out of that with only being down by 1. And then they found that another gear in the third and was able to tie it. But then you give up the penalties, the penalty, that weird bounce off the backboards. The puck ended up going to Middlestat. Was that the game tying goal? Just a weird. We've been the beneficiary of a bounce like that recently. I think on a Noah Ostlund goal. So bounces like that are going to happen. I'm not going to blame UPL for that. Like, he was just trying to search for the puck. If you really want to split hairs and say, like, as a goalie, maybe he should have just been sitting on his post and not putting himself in that position out of his paint. Sure. But like, again, I'm not putting that on him because a 9 out of 10 goalies are probably doing the same thing while trying to find that puck. 8 or 9 out of 10 goalies. So like, again, I didn't see the overtime. I still haven't seen the overtime goal. Like I barely saw it through a crowd of people. We were sitting in the aisle, waiting, kind of so we can get out, so I can get here quick enough. Because had I not left when we did, and I'm going to call her out right now, Miss Peloton legs in there. She couldn't keep up with me gimp running to my car. So there's that. But regardless, we were able to get here so we can do this show. I was excited to talk to all of you, but from what it sounds like, it wasn't a great goal, but he played good enough for them to win this game. He was probably one of the bigger reasons why here's another thing too. Like, I see in the comments on YouTube a lot that I shit on UPL, that I never give him, like, here I am giving him credit. Like, he is probably the biggest reason why we were able to get a point out of this tonight. He played very, very well tonight, in my opinion. When I see even if you want to blame him for the game-winning goal, sure, if it was a weak goal, but like same thing with Lyon the other night, right? Like, he played it fantastic in the third period and was a major reason why they were able to, storm back down by 2 and get that point. Same thing with UPL tonight. Big reason why they got a point. So I'm not going to sit here and, split hairs when it comes to UPL, at least until I see the game-winning goal. But there's a lot of comments here in the chat where there's a lot of comments in the chat where we're afraid that we're going to get back into those same bad habits again. I don't think that's going to happen because I believe in this team. I believe in this leadership group, and I believe that they'll nip this in the bud. It sounds like they're going to watch some film tomorrow from some of these post-game interviews. And hopefully they straighten this stuff out. I still hate the power play. I really, 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 really do. I do want to say here real quick, in the chat, some of the bickering between you guys has got to stop. Like I see some of the comments here. Just please, just grow up, everybody here. I'm not even gonna read all the comments, but just please, people grow up. Anyways, from Mazzaroni, from Anthony, I'm 5-1 at games I've attended this season. It keeps me humble. That's great. That's not great, but I don't know, man. I'm not gonna tell you not to go to hockey games because I want you to have a good time, Tony. But maybe switch things up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if you wear Sabres jerseys the games when you go. Maybe don't wear a Sabres jersey. If you don't wear Sabres, maybe I don't know. Switch something up when you go because you got to help us turn this thing around when you do go, especially with us, getting into the playoffs here soon. So I'm going to go into the locker room with locker room post-game quotes. Again, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company, Western New York's premier market and tap room with over 300 beers to choose from. Make sure that you keep an eye out, keep your ears open and your eye out for more information on their big Sabres watch party that we're going to be doing for the first away game for the playoffs at the Lancaster location. We're shutting down all of Main Street, weather permitting, game start time permitting. Going to have a giant screen at the end of each street vendors, food trucks, the works. Everybody's going to be out there. It's going to be a blast. We did this for Bills games. It's always a good time. I hope I see a lot of you that are in the chat that are local. Even you, Mauricio, you should make the trip down, right? Make the trip down. I want to see a lot of you guys there when we do this thing at Fatty Beer because I want to have it. I want to buy you all a beer. You know what I mean? I want to share a beer with you guys and reminisce in the last 14 years. And I saw a lot of good drought jerseys tonight too. I saw a Brad Boys 40th anniversary jersey. Well, I said when I tweeted it out, he goes, Brad Boys, what you gonna do? Hilarious. I'm a loser. And then a Steve Monador jersey, may you rest in peace. But another 40th anniversary jersey, both of them. So that was pretty cool. But I want to hang out with you guys, have a beer, and think back and about the drought years and things we went through, and it would be a blast. So from Inside the Locker Room, though, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company. Ruff says they are trying to move Thompson around more on the power play to make the opposition try and find him. Well, it shouldn't have taken this long for you guys to do that. Ruff on Timmins' return. I thought he was rock solid. Says they gave him a little extra ice time. Says he made great decisions. He played like he hadn't missed a day. Ruff says they went back to simple and working harder in the third period. Says puck decisions weren't very good in the first two periods. Said Boston won more battles. Said they gave them too many opportunities in the second. Rasmus Dahlin says the Bruins got an easy entry on the OT goal. It shouldn't have been that easy. More from Dahlin says they can't use the West Coast trip thing as an excuse. Says they have to keep it simple, especially when they might not have their legs. More from Dahlin says the support he and his fiance got from the fans tonight and throughout this was unbelievable. It was really special for sure. Zach Benson says it's never lovely getting cross-checked and getting hit from behind, but I definitely do it again. He's obviously talking about the goal he scored, which was fucking Ben sanity, right? It was awesome. Benson, it wasn't our best, but I thought there were moments where we had a solid B game. Zucker on Benson's contributions. I think he's been great. Just don't tell him I said that. Drawing that penalty was huge. We were able to take advantage of that. Yeah, when he took the cross check right after he scored. I mean, just goes to show how much players don't like playing against him. He's a pest out there. He's such a again. He's going to be a Brand Marchand like type player, with maybe a little bit more snarl to his game. Zucker, I don't think we were very good tonight. I think we tried to be a little too fancy. nice to get a point when you're not at your best, but overall, good to get a point. And that was from inside the locker room. Again, brought to you by Fatty Beer Company. Goal scorers were Zach Benson and Jason Zucker with 2. He had his 21st and 22nd point. I think intern Joey tweeted out that had he played 82 games, I think Zucker would have been on pace for like 32 goals and almost 60 points, which at his age is incredible. It's nice to see. So, anyways, my final thoughts, since Hurls isn't here to get his final thoughts. Actually, real quick, I'm not going to tell you what I get. So I got a custom made jersey tonight. I ordered one, goat head jersey, and I can't wait to show you it all because it's going to be a 1 of 1. And I think you're all going to be really impressed. Because I haven't personally seen it out in the wild yet. But it's going to be a custom made jersey. I'm going to have it in 2 weeks. I'm so stoked. And I can't wait to wear it on this podcast. So keep an eye out for that. But final thoughts. Listen, you have to find ways to get games in the garage. You've done that a lot for the most part for 90% of the season up until this point. Right now is not a good time to fall into bad habits that you had in the I shouldn't say that they've been doing that for 90% of the season, because in the beginning of the season, they were atrocious. They were injured, but atrocious. You don't want to fall back into those habits from the start of the season, pre the Kevin firing. So get the rest you need. I mean, you play again on Saturday. So is it a couple days off? Watch some film. Maybe Lindy, gives them an easy day tomorrow. Maybe just show up to the arena, watch some film, practice Friday. I think, though, that this team, this head coach, this leadership group, this set of captains, and especially with the fan support, we're just as much part of this resurgence and breaking this drought as the players are, and I've said this so many times, and I really do believe it. I don't think that the team would be able to perform at the level they do on a night-to-night basis without us and bringing it the way we do every game. They call it in Seattle the 12th man. Well, we're the 7th man, 100%. The Sabres are the 7th man, no doubt about it. They do the 7th man of the year every year. This fan base, we are the 7th man. That energy we bring, and we have to keep bringing it, even on nights where this team may look down and out. Even tonight, man, like, you never really felt like the fans were out of it. I mean, it was, again, kind of like one of those, really took a while to get us into it because you saw the play in the first 2 periods, just wasn't there. They really couldn't string 2 or 3 good shifts together at once. The turnovers, like the Tuck turnover, the McLeod, the McLeod mistakes on both the first 2 goals. It was tough, but we didn't really give up on them. We didn't, back in the day, we would have booed them off the ice at the end of a period. But I thought that fans were still engaged, especially on Military Appreciation Night. And that stuff pays off. It helps, man. And I'm sure the players will admit that. They don't want to let us down just as much as, we probably shouldn't want to let them down. Oh, we play the Red Wings Friday. Sorry, I apologize. I thought it was Saturday. So they only have 1 day off. I don't know. So they probably will have a light skate tomorrow. My apologies. I thought they played Saturday. Or it's a Friday. Okay, it's a Friday, Saturday. So we play Friday. I imagine the Lion will probably get Friday. Saturday, I forget who is Saturday, because I thought Saturday was the Red Wings. But I do know they have that big tilt against Tampa coming up next week, which I'm sure we're all looking forward to. Listen, just don't let yourself get back into these bad habits. Reset tomorrow, watch some film, have a nice light skate. Oh, that's right, Seattle. Have I don't think we've beaten Carolina. This is a good question, actually. I keep saying we're going to wrap things up. Have the Sabres beaten every single team in the league this year, with the exception of Carolina? I don't think they beat Carolina. That's an interesting question. We do have Carolina still on the schedule, I believe. So if you beat Carolina, and I'm sitting here thinking about this in my head, I think we have beaten every single team in the league. We did beat Carolina at home. I thought, as I remember, the Bussy game where he absolutely stonewalled us. The Does that mean we've beaten every single team? We're done playing Carolina's team. Okay, so we did beat them. For some reason, I thought we still had them on the schedule. Look at me, man. I'm tired. I apologize. My brain's in 15 different other places. That's an interesting thing to look up. Maybe somebody in the chat before we get out here can look that up. If have we beaten every single team in the league this year? Which is crazy if you think about it, considering how the season started, what we thought coming in. That's an incredible accomplishment for this group. So, Detroit on Friday, Seattle again a back-to-back. I mean, they got a lot of games in a short time span here to end the season. So that means you got to get your shit together in a short amount of time than I thought, because again, I thought they played Saturday, not Friday. I thought it was a Saturday, Sunday thing. So again, reset, recollect tomorrow. Get your legs back underneath you. I'm assuming Zach Metz will probably be back in the lineup. We'll see what keeps going on with this Michael Kesslering slot saga, if he ever slots back into the lineup this season. Again, I mentioned earlier that, Paul Hamilton said on the radio that Kesslering had lost his locker and was getting dressed in the middle of the room on a folding chair. That's not exactly abnormal, I guess, with, the amount of players that are sliding in and out, like Zach Metza, like Connor Timmins tonight. You have Luke Shen, who's trying to get in, obviously get back into the fold here, 18-year veteran. But if you're Michael Kesslering too, like a guy, I don't know how true this is. I'm not trying to start rumors. I have no idea. I did not look into this before I'm going to say it. But I saw somebody tweet out that the only player on the team that he follows on Instagram is still Josh Doan. That he's not following any of his teammates. Now, again, that's so stupid to look into that stuff. Maybe he doesn't spend a lot of time on Instagram. I don't know. But maybe someone else can look into that. Because that would also be an interesting layer to it. If you really want to look that deep into the Michael Kesslering saga. You look tired, do easy. Cheer up, buddy. We're still a wagon. Absolutely, Bazzy. We are still a wagon. No, I never said he didn't follow the Sabres. I never said that. There was that drama. He does still follow the Sabres. What I'm saying is I saw somewhere on Twitter that he isn't following any of his teammates other than Josh Doan. I could be completely wrong about that. I just read it on Twitter where 50% of the things you see are wrong. But I'm not trying to start any type of rumor or drama, nothing like that. It's just something I saw in maybe it was a group chat or on Twitter. So don't know how true that is. Alex Fuck says here he'll check it out. But again, if you guys have enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you're following along. You can find us if you're audio only. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can find myself at Duane S39. That's at DUANES39. On Instagram and Twitter, you can find my co-host Connor Hurley at C Hurls. That's at CHURLS 13. C Hurls 13 on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the podcast at Two Goalies, One Mic. And then, of course, if you're following along on YouTube, which I see a lot of you are, please make sure you're subscribed. Hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. And, of course, smash that like button. He still follows Tage, so that was probably a lie. Still follows Useless Quinn. Okay, so that was a lie. Yes, please give me 5 stars on Spotify. That would be awesome. I'm pretty sure this guy who has all of these different, he might be the same person, which I appreciate the commitment, or it's maybe a grouping of the same people because they have to get very creative with their names. Yes, thank you, Michelle. We do play Friday, Saturday. So yeah, that was completely wrong, and please disregard all of that then. So I'll talk to you guys later. Appreciate all the support. And remember, as always, remember that super chat button and go Sabres. See you Friday night.